Once upon a time, in a cozy little house in London, there lived a boy named Peter Pan. Oh, Peter was no ordinary boy. He had the most magical ability to fly, and he never wanted to grow up. He wore a green tunic and a cap with a jaunty feather sticking out of it. With a twinkle in his eye and a giggle always on his lips, he loved adventures more than anything else in the whole wide world. One starry night, while the moon cast silver beams into the nursery window, Peter fluttered in like a gentle breeze. He was on a mission. "Time to play," he whispered as he peeked at the three children sleeping in their beds, Wendy, John, and Michael Darling. Their dreams were filled with fairy dust and flying pirates, but they had no idea what awaited them. Suddenly, a light fluttered into the room. It was Tinkerbell, Peter's tiny, sparkling fairy friend. She buzzed around like a little firefly. "Peter! They must come with us!" she squeaked excitedly. Peter grinned wide. "Oh yes! Wendy will tell us stories and John can be our brave captain!" Then he floated over to the children and gently tapped Wendy's nose. "Wakey, wakey!" Wendy opened her eyes and gasped. "Who are you?" "I'm Peter Pan, and we're going to Neverland!" he exclaimed with glee. "Neverland? Wow!" John said, sitting up fast. "Is that where pirates are?" "Absolutely! And mermaids, too!" Peter laughed, doing a little twirl in the air. Michael rubbed his eyes, hardly believing what he saw. "Can we really fly?" "Of course!" Peter chuckled. "Just think happy thoughts!" With that magic phrase, they all thought of their happiest memories. Flying kites, sunny picnics, and ice cream cones dripping with sprinkles. Suddenly, whoosh, up they went, floating through the night sky like colorful balloons. The children laughed joyfully as they soared above rooftops and over the shimmering Thames River. "Look at me!" yelled Michael, pretending to be an airplane. Wendy spread her arms wide like wings while John pointed out constellations twinkling brightly above. Finally, they landed softly on the sandy shores of Neverland. The place was bursting with colors. Green trees swayed gently in the breeze, flowers giggled as they danced under the sun, and there were even playful animals peeking out from behind bushes. "Welcome to Neverland!" Peter announced proudly. Just then, a loud ruckus erupted nearby. "What's that noise?" Wendy asked curiously. "Oh, that's just the Lost Boys playing," said Peter with a wink. The Lost Boys were his friends who lived in Neverland, full of laughter and mischief. As they approached, they found the Lost Boys playing tag with an enormous crocodile named Tick-Tock, who loved to chase them around. "Catch me if you can!" shouted one of the boys as he zigzagged away. "Whoa, that croc is fast!" John exclaimed while giggling. Wendy rolled her eyes playfully. "Boys will be boys!" Suddenly, Tinkerbell zipped over to them. "Shh, look out! The pirates are coming!" she warned urgently. Peter's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Let's hide!" They quickly ducked behind some bushes, just as Captain Hook and his sneaky crew stomped by. Hook was tall and grumpy with an enormous hat that looked like it might blow away at any moment. "Curse that Peter Pan," he grumbled dramatically. "Yeah, and let's catch him this time," echoed Smee, his bumbling first mate who always seemed confused about everything. The children held their breath as Hook passed by. When he was finally out of sight, Peter said softly, "Now's our chance for an adventure." With mischievous smiles stretching across their faces, they hopped out from their hiding spot and ran off to explore more of Neverland. They swung on vines like monkeys, made crowns from flower petals, and even had tea with mermaids who sang sweet songs under the sea. As day turned into night again in Neverland, Wendy sighed happily while gazing at the stars overhead. "This has been the best day ever!" "Yes!" cheered Michael, bouncing up and down. "I don't want to go home." Peter looked at them with sparkling eyes. "You don't have to grow up if you don't want to," he said softly. But deep down inside, Wendy knew she would miss her family back home. She smiled at Peter and said gently, "Maybe one day we will come back." And so it was decided. They would return home but carry their adventures in their hearts forever. When it was time for them to leave Neverland, Peter sprinkled them all with fairy dust once more. With a wave of his hand and a twinkle in his eye, he said cheerfully, "Remember, you can always find your way back if you believe." With giggles of joy filling the air like sweet music, they flew back through the starry night, until they landed safely in their own beds once more. Just as dawn began to break, Wendy opened her eyes first and smiled warmly at her brothers snuggled beside her. "Did we really go to Neverland?" she whispered. "Yes!" Michael squeaked excitedly. And from that day on, whenever they felt lost or needed magic in their lives, they would remember that adventure, and perhaps even feel a little sprinkle of fairy dust still lingering on their fingertips. And so ends our tale of Peter Pan, the boy who showed us all that magic is real if only we dare to believe. Good night, my dear friends. Dream of flying and adventures until we meet again.